Welcome to the Tabletop Gaming Guild podcast. The Tabletop Gaming Guild is all about the experiences and memories that playing board games friends and families can create. On this podcast, we're going to be starting our primer on board game mechanics. Today's episode, we're going to talk about pick up and deliver. The definition of pickup and delivery on BGG is that this mechanism usually requires players to pick up an item or good at one location on the playing board and bring it to another location on the playing board. Initial placement of the item can be either predetermined or random. The delivery of the good usually gives the player money to do with more actions or something in that area. In most cases, there is a game rule or mechanic that determines where the item needs to go.
Yawn.
I think really just pick-up delivery is going to be simply just any game that requires you to transport goods, chits, or anything from one place and deliver it to another.
Yeah, that's pretty true. There's a lot of trends in pick-up delivery we should probably also cover. Like, pick-up delivery often takes the form of trading. The cliche is trading in the Mediterranean. Some games take a more relaxed approach to that, where it's more abstracted. Some of them actually just have it as a main component. Others have it as a little minor component within the game. There's another element that's often incorporated, which would be market fluctuation. And Wasteland Express Delivery Service is a good example of that. It's a unique theme to a pretty standard pick-up and delivery game where you are literally buying goods from one location and selling to another. However, it does have a little bit of combat. You can be attacked by raiders along the way. But the core mechanic is, as you buy things, that product may not be available at that location anymore because they might run out of supply. So the availability of the supply affects the price of the supply. Then you go and deliver it somewhere, and they may not want that product anymore. They have as much as they need, so then the demand price drops. And that's pretty typical of what you would see in a pickup delivery game.
That's going to be like the baseline idea of a pickup and delivery.
It does have a slightly different mechanic that's rare in pickup delivery, where you can actually tack people to get the goods you need as well. But beyond that, it's pretty standard.
I actually think the game Istanbul pushes it a little farther, where in Istanbul you can collect multiple different things, and then you're trying to end in a spot to deliver those things to get points. Like, you have to get like different types of goods, and then you can sell them in a market, or you can get a variety of goods, and you can actually get the gems or the little rubies that actually get you to the end game. You have to collect 5 rubies to win. So that's sort of pick up and deliver. You're getting goods, and then you're getting rid of them. And with Istanbul, you can actually just collect these goods. You don't actually have to deliver them, but you can actually use that to give yourself a variety of ways to get your 5th gem. It's not as like cut and dry as like I have 8 turnips and I need to give it to place B.
Yeah, there's a common problem with pickup delivery games. They do tend to be a bit dry, so anything that adds some uniqueness, a unique theme or a unique mechanic really does help a lot in these games.
The game we got to preview called Moonshine Empire, which is designed by Jason Mack and Caleb Czar. And the way this game works is you have distilleries and you actually continue distilling your moonshine as far as you are willing to, and then you got to take it and put it into either RTVs, trucks, or boats and manage to make it to the middle and deposit them. And the whole game is about taking these jugs and trying to get them out as fast as possible, but there's actually a lot of take that. Like, you can get attacked trying to deliver your moonshine, just like Wasteland Express. You also have like a variety of cards that you could play different times to give you bonuses. And there's also challenge cards that get 4 of your moonshines up to the 3rd level, which is the highest you can get it at, or deliver 15 things of moonshine to the middle. It is a very, very take that game. So if you like high levels of player interaction and you do like the pickup and delivery mechanism, the game might be for you. It's going to be going on Kickstarter at sometime at the end of the year, but you can actually get more information from www.moonshineempire.com. I did have a lot of fun playing it. As a caveat, I really don't like pick-up and delivery games. This one was one of the ones I liked a little bit more. Istanbul is definitely my favorite so far, but I did play Firefly.
But before we talk about that, I really want to focus a little bit more on Moonshine Empire, because it's kind of a big deal for the podcast. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first demo copy of a game we've gotten under Tabletop Gaming Guild.
They were really nice, and the production quality, basically 3D printed pieces. They did actually take the time to care about what the presentation of the playtest copy is. I did play it with my daughters so far, and I played with a couple other people, and for the most part, everyone liked it. If you don't like Take That, it might not be the game for you, but if you do like that, you do like the pickup delivery, it could be one to look at. I'll continue to keep play testing this copy until they want it back. And if I get to keep it all the way till the Tabletop Gaming Guild convention, which is on April 27th, I'll also have it played there too to get more feedback that way.
So it sounds like a fairly early prototype. Any impressions kind of has to be taken in that regard, right?
They're actually a little farther along. I believe they've been sending out playtest copies for a little while. If you look at their Instagram account or you go to their website and see the progression of the design they went through. They are taking the feedback back, and whenever you play test the game, you do still have to take into account, like you said, that it is still a prototype. And they're still working on the rules and the different parts, and they're seeing what works and changing it around, and it do look like they're actually actively working on it, which is great.
Does the theme come very strongly across? Is this something that's going to be an issue maybe for not so family friendly because of the theme?
The main point of Moonshine Empire is actually a lighthearted game, so it'd probably work well with families as long as they're okay with the alcohol idea in the game. What's happening is, in an old tavern in a middle of the gator-infested swamp lives a shady old moonshiner named Pappy. For as long as anyone can remember, he has been providing the best darn moonshine this side of Mississippi. However, old Pappy is ready to retire and is holding something of a competition to see who's got the gumption to take over Moonshine Empire. So the character Pappy has set up distillery locations in the swamp and has given each team a few moonshine movers and some cash to see what they can do in one night. To keep it interesting, he has also placed a number of trial events to be sure that replacements can handle anything the swamp can throw at them. If you ever played Scythe, where you hit the event and you pop up a card, this is sort of similar, where you hit one of these question marks and pick up an event card and something happens. Generally something bad happens, but sometimes it's good. But either way, when you hit these events, you collect points. At the end of the game, you're looking at each of your distillery points. The next is you have the total points on your uncovered event tiles, so however many you got for that. And you also have challenge cards, which are going to give you points for meeting something like that. There's no thing that makes you think that you're doing illegal activity or anything other than there's little caught pieces. And there's this alligator that'll eat you. I don't know how that means you're doing anything bad, but the alligator will eat you if it doesn't have moonshine in its mouth because it's addicted to moonshine.
Okay.
It's funny. They'll eat you and your car and your ATV. There's a card that your opponent can play that moves the alligator's back. Yeah, that's fun when you get eaten and your daughter laughs maniacally.
So it sounds like you're mostly fighting the environment. It's not so much gangster themed.
Yeah, there's definitely no gangster theme on this. You're basically just competing with the other players in a pickup and delivery style game. So really when you get down to it, you're just trying to get these units over into the center as fast as possible. Or you can attack your opponent and steal theirs, which is fun too, or steal their cash. And the cash you actually need to use to upgrade your distilleries, to buy new people to help you out, or machinery to get you there faster. You do lose units in the game, a lot. So that cash comes into handy to replace these units you lose. It is a fast game too, so that's really nice.
Is this Prohibition era with, you're delivering to speakeasies, or it's just a general modern maybe?
The vehicles like you have an ATV, so I don't think those were around in Prohibition. You also have trucks and stuff like modern looking trucks. But anyway, it does feel like this is a modern day sort of game. Also, one of the things I forgot too that is really important in the game is Each player gets a character card, and all these character cards actually have asymmetric powers, which is really cool. So each player will get different amounts of starting units, and each player will get a different ability. When you get your character card, you actually pick between one or two abilities, so you can customize it a little bit when you get them.
So it sounds like overall it's a good game with a lot of potential.
Yeah, overall it's a really good game. They keep streamlining the rules. It'll keep getting better and better. Like I said, if you like pickup and delivery and you're okay with Take That, for the Take That game that has that much in it, it's actually not too bad because it's so fast-paced that you're pretty much expecting that these things are going to happen. And it's not too hard to recover. So even if you do get like a catastrophic turn, you can still recover from it, which is super important in this style of game.
Once again, to remind the listeners, this is early prototype. We're taking that into consideration. We're trying to give you an honest review, but we're also trying to consider, this is not a finished game yet, right?
Either way, it is a game to look out for. When they do actually go to Kickstarter, we'll post that on our site there so people know.
Yeah, I'd definitely be interested in see if we can get a copy again closer to the actual finished production to see what improvements have been made and how it's actually coming together.
Yeah, that would be really cool if we could do one of those reviews and how to plays on it later on too. So getting back to the other topic where we're talking about Wasteland Express, another similar game would be Firefly, because you are actually trying to do basic contracts and deliver things, and you can get attacked by Reavers. I don't think in Firefly can you directly attack an opponent.
You can steal crew members if they're disgruntled. I'm also not really big on pick up deliver, but Firefly is one I do really love. Part of that is because I love the series. If you haven't watched the series, don't care for the series, you may not like this game. It's a decent game, but you're not going to be thrilled by it.
I don't know.
If you've watched the series, loved it, I think this is a phenomenal game for those people.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like this series. I could take it or leave it. It was cool, but the game itself, even like stripped from Firefly, I really enjoyed. It does have that flavor of the Firefly series, but I sort of think you can sort of ignore it if you wanted to and just go with like the Wild West space theme and not really have to know much about the Firefly series at all and still really, really like it. Because it's giant and sprawling, and when we played it at your house there, it took up the entire table.
Yeah, we should talk about the mechanics and how the game works for a second. In Firefly, you have half a dozen core planets where you can pick up quests, you can buy goods, you can pick up crew, and you have a deck of cards for each of these locations. So you're trying to go to these locations and get the cards you want. Meanwhile, you're trying to fulfill these various quests, such as pick up ship parts from this one location, deliver it to this other location. And pretty standard as far as that. There's a lot of flavor, though. A lot of elements from the show that eke throughout the game. You have shadier planets where you might be picking up slaves. And some of the quests can be the shady version of the quest where you're picking up those slaves, delivering them into slavery somewhere else, or picking them up and deliver them to freedom somewhere else. But you get so much better rewards when you're bad, so it really encourages you to be this noble villain, I guess you would call it. Which is perfectly matching the theme of the show.
Definitely space cowboy theme. Even without knowing about it, you can see the Wild West.
One of the slight drawbacks of the game is it does take a while to travel back and forth from planet to planet. There is that element of you got the Reavers that are moving around the board. They could attack you and do serious damage to your ship, and you have to be alert of where they are. And you also have the Alliance ships that can board you, do an inspection, take all your contraband if they catch you, give you a wanted token, and if you get a wanted token, you have to get to a planet and actually pay off the fine for being wanted. However, if you choose to stay wanted, it does add risk. It makes your lawful characters more likely to be disgruntled, more likely to leave your crew if somebody offers them a better deal. Although, I have yet to see anybody actually steal a crew member. You have to get on the same space within this vast board. There's 2 expansions that actually add a significant chunk to the board, as well as several other planets, several other decks of cards, and then there's a lot of other smaller expansions that just add more and more cards. If you get all these expansions, this is a massive, massive game that has pretty much every element from the show. Is like every single character that's been in the show, even the minor characters that showed up for a few seconds, they are in those cards somewhere. It's like, it's to the level of the Star Wars universe as far as how much detail and how much they flesh out every little minor character in this board game.
Yeah, I also liked all the different ships that you could get from the movie. Or from the series and the movie.
My short and long of this is, if you love the game, get the expansions, but start with the base game. Play the base game a few times and add the expansions gradually. It's a much, much longer game once you've added all the expansions because you have a lot further to travel between each deliveries. Oh, I did not talk about one of the coolest concepts in this game. So each game you have a story card that gives you your 3 different objectives for the game. So it'll be something like, okay, you have to go and gamble and earn this much money gambling, and then you have to go pay off a bookie or something along that lines. And, there's 3 different steps, and each step has some story element that also kind of ties into what you're doing in the game. And the unfortunate thing is the base game only comes with a few different story cards, a few different variations on the game, but they do change up the games quite a bit each time. And with the expansions, it adds quite a few more stories, as well as you can go on BGG, and there's hundreds, if not thousands, of stories you can actually download and print and play.
There's a lot to Firefly. There's a lot of games out there you may not think of for pickup and delivery, but they are. One of them would be like Flashpoint Fire Rescue by Kevin Lansing. I don't know if you ever played that game before.
It's a very hard co-op game.
Yeah, basically the pickup and delivery part of it is when you're actually going into the house to try to rescue at least 7 victims. And, well, they're not victims yet, so you're trying to rescue 7 people. If they actually become victims, you lose the game, I believe, if the 4th one perishes. But basically in the game, you're going in, collecting your resource, which is the person, and then you are depositing them outside the building, your location. So it's just an odd one that I don't know that I would have actually considered pickup and delivery until I actually looked at the list of pickup and delivery games on BGG.
That does actually make sense as being a pickup delivery. There's a lot of other elements that go into that game, but yeah, you are literally picking up survivors and rescuing them. One of the cute little elements is sometimes you don't know what's there until you get there. It could be a person, it could be nothing, it could be a cat or dog. It's a nice looking game, it's mechanically very nice. It really excellent game. It just really can be very hard. If your luck does not go well, you can lose this game super fast.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. There's a lot of luck in the game. The one thing that is going for it is very streamlined and very simple to teach. Like, it's sort of like a pandemic. You could be playing the best game ever, but then if you have some bad turns, the game ends.
It does help teaching the game because it has a simplified version of the game that you can play to learn the game. And also, if you're playing with younger kids, you can just stay with that simple family version of the game, and it's very beatable on that family version. When you get to the advanced game, that's where it really becomes hard.
Yeah, I really like that flip side board where they have it on both sides. I wish more people would actually use the dead space on the other side.
An alternate map is definitely a good thing. I see sometimes they just use like an alternate design of the map, which is okay, but having an actual alternate map creates a variant to the game. It's so much nicer. Another game that often is not considered a pickup delivery is Fire and Axe. I guess you could say it's not really pickup delivery, but it does have that slight element in the game. Depending on your strategy in the game, it could be an almost non-existent part, or it could be an actually fairly major part. So in Fire and Axe, you are loading up your longship with crew and goods, and you're going to these different towns. And when you get to these towns, you can choose to either deliver your goods, or raid the city, or colonize the city. If you deliver your goods, it makes them a little friendlier, so they might be a little bit more susceptible to be raided later. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic in that.
If you are going to take over the area, you're actually taking the unit that you had in your boat and placing it there, thereby securing in the area, so it's sort of a delivery. Or you can just outright attack it. So if you raid on there, it's also a form of, I guess, pickup and delivery, because you had to have units in your ship. You're expending those units, or at least hopefully not trying to expend those units, to successfully raid. And then you get your reward at the end. Sort of loose on that, but definitely when you're delivering your good, you get your points. That's, you picked up your good, you shipped it. When you colonize it, you picked up a guy, and you had to place them there to get it. So I guess that would fall directly under pickup and delivery.
If you consider it thematically, it's definitely a different thing, but by the literal terms, yes, you're picking up a person and delivering it somewhere else.
And BGG considers it a pickup and delivery. So it is a pickup and delivery because BGG's always right.
Yes! And that makes me right. And victorious.
Well, another one that people overlook, or at least I overlooked on there, is actually like Forbidden Desert. So Forbidden Desert, Forbidden Island would both be pickup and deliveries. Like in Forbidden Desert, you're getting the parts for your airship. And Forbidden Island, you're getting these relics as fast as you can, because for some reason you have to have all these relics or the helicopter won't leave with you. So in both these games, you're collecting all these goods to be able to get to the helipad to ship them out and survive. So the end result of collecting your goods and delivering them is you win the game. Collecting your goods and not delivering the game, you lose the game. So it's basically like one pickup and one deliver. Well, it's multiple pickups and one deliver, but both of those would be considered pickup and delivery games.
There's a lot of games now that really have taken that mechanic and incorporated it into much larger elements and really kind of disguised it as something else and are actually excellent games.
Yeah, and it surprised me how broad it is, but if you distill a lot of games, surprisingly, they actually have a pickup and delivery mechanism in them. Some games I would consider as not being pickup and deliver that I was initially thinking was pickup and deliver, like Scythe. Technically, that is not a pickup and delivery game. You acquire resources and you can spend them, but you're not delivering them anywhere.
Yeah, you can move them, but you're not moving them to deliver, that you're moving them to make sure they're protected, generally. Because it doesn't matter where you have them, you can spend them from wherever they are. So I think that's all for pickup delivery. I'm kind of excited this week, because I've been watching my Kickstarters. I have a lot of them coming in soon. I've kind of got a weakness for Kickstarter.
Yeah, I saw Death May Die is going to be delivering in a couple months.
Oh, yeah. I got all sorts of stuff coming in.
I just need to figure out how to drive, like, an entire day to come over to intercept your mail and drive back.
Yeah, Death May Die. I got Eclipse coming in. I got Senate board game. You know, 1,000-year-old, or several 1,000-year-old board game remade.
Yeah, that looks like it was really nicely made, too, so that's really cool.
Critical Role just launched their Kickstarter to make an animated series based on their show. And if you don't know what Critical Role is, it's basically just a bunch of voice actors that decided to play D&D, and somehow that became a really entertaining and popular show. They've almost hit $8 million already. Within 4 hours of launching their Kickstarter, they made over $2 million. And their original goal was $750,000.
That's really cool. Did you know that there's going to be a Clank Legacy, and it's going to be based off of Acquisitions Incorporated?
That's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's coming out in the fall of this year. I'm super excited about it because I like Clank, and I'm really interested to see what they actually do with a Legacy version.
Have you watched or listened to Acquisitions Incorporated at all?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of them on there.
They're kind of a gamut of shows. They have a few different D&D teams that do a few different shows, and they like to do like odd one-offs. I believe at one point they did a PUBG-inspired one-off.
I just remembered what I saw them on, too. It's called Penny Arcade.
Mm-hmm. That's their YouTube channel.
It's really neat. I'd highly recommend checking them out.
I do enjoy them, but Critical Role is pretty much the pinnacle of D&D podcasting and YouTube.
Yeah, I haven't watched a whole lot of the Critical Role stuff. I might actually have to do that.
It's definitely a time investment. They're into campaign 2. The first campaign was over 100 episodes, and I believe they have 50-some episodes of the second campaign. And each episode ranges, it's around 3 hours per episode, so yeah, it'll take you a while to get caught up.
I don't know if you've seen this too, like just talking about odd stuff on there too, have you seen any of the Dragon Tomb videos?
No, I haven't.
Check them out. They're how-to-play videos. So he does like how to play Candyland, how to play Operation, how to play Battleship. Except for the rules are completely wrong. and they are hilarious.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing a serious how-to on those games.
No, and actually, I was just bored the one day. I'm like, how to Candyland? Why does this have like a ton of views and it's only been out for like a little bit? So I watched it, and it was hilarious. And I just watched the rest of his stuff too. But yeah, you should check out the Dragon's Tomb videos. They're really good and really funny.
Sounds interesting. I'll have to check that out. There's a few other things out right now that I'm interested in. Silver River. Did we talk about that last week?
I think we did. Silver River is actually pretty neat because he took the existing belief in different type of alien species that may exist in the universe, and he put them in like greys and some reptilian ones and different aliens that people think are out there, and made them into the species that you can play in the game. It looks like a really Twilight Imperium sort of vibe with the game.
Supposedly a 2-hour 4X game, and it really does sound like one of the few that actually live up to that. The only problem is there's about 4 of these games on Kickstarter right now. There's the other big one is Exodus Chronicle.
Yeah, Exodus Chronicle looks pretty neat too. Supposedly that game is like super long, like 10 to 12 hours, but it has a ton of mechanisms in it. 4-player, and it has a race called the Sin, and you help out the other 3 players until I think round 3, and then they have to roll a die to see if the Sin activate, and then the Sin player gets to try to eliminate everybody. But the Sin player is invincible until then, and they're all on everybody's home worlds. And they can assist you during the game, so they're super helpful until they try to kill you. So it's a sort of neat concept, and it looks like there's a lot of mechanisms in the game, and it uses like a 3D sort of combat idea, which I don't remember ever seeing in any other game that, they didn't do like actual 3D stuff. So it would be neat how they do the 3D space battles. With
these big 4X games, it's really hard to decide between them, and just based on watching some videos I've seen, there's been a couple live playthroughs that have gone up. I know the Dice Tower did a couple. They both look really excellent. I just don't know which one to get.
For me, I really love Twilight Imperium. It's one of my favorite games. So if I got one of those games and I had a big game night, would I play it over Twilight Imperium? I don't know. Those games could be better. I don't know. If I got those, would they even get a chance? Those game nights where I can devote like 6 to 7 hours to a game, it's probably going to Twilight Imperium over anything else because the game group I have here knows how to play that game already too, which is super nice. I could always use you. You get them. Learn the rules. And I play them.
Yeah, if you could ever make it up here. You just have to stop having kids so you can travel.
Nah, competing with Tom Vassell, it's all good. Oh man, I definitely want to know what you think when you play Heroes of Land, Sea, and Air, because I think you got that in all the expansions.
Yes.
That game is definitely one that's been on my radar for a long time because I like that style of game, especially like fantasy-based 4X style.
Yeah, I splurged on that one. I got the everything collection. I have some pictures. I will put them up on Instagram. Yes, I'll put them up on Instagram.
Hopefully, we'll get some unboxing videos and stuff too in the future. That'd be really cool.
Definitely in the plans for the future is getting more presence on YouTube. If this really takes off, hopefully I can switch to part-time and start doing things like how-to videos and review videos and get a lot more content for you guys.
Yeah, very cool. See if we can get you to that point.
And of course Jim will be doing things too, but who cares?
Anyway.
He's the brains, I'm the entertainment.
Yeah, right. You like doing taxes? I'm your man. Taxes! QuickBook! Yay!
Probably still better than what I've been doing at work and reading a 150-page legal document that's a draft. And I'll have to read it again once they finalize it.
Those are always interesting.
That's it for this episode. Thank you for listening. Next episode, we will continue with our board game primer with a classic mechanic that most board gamers steer far away from.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Please like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, join our BGG Guild, guild number 2989, or you can join our guild by going to tabletopgamingguild.com/guild. You can also join our Slack channel where we're going to discuss board game related topics and our next podcasts. You can also visit our website, tabletopgamingguild.com, and you can email us at tabletopgamingguild@gmail.com. The Tabletop Gaming Guild podcast is a product of Tabletop Gaming Guild, LLC. All rights reserved. Thanks again for listening.